from all, to all, with all, for all, through all. We thank the gods of creation. We thank the ancestors. We thank the forces of nature. And we thank the earth. We thank them for their direction, their protection, their guidance, for keeping us, showing us, allowing us to know and enjoy life to its fullest, now and later.
Black people who once loved with the slow march of time. Time was ours to hold in the soft, low-born chambers of our hearts. And was we, the Afro mommies and daddies of a sun world, would turn our strands of hair into antennas to tune in the juju madness and syncopated love rhythms of Africa. And we loved with time, and we took the time to love, and with the right time we loved, and we loved time after time. Will we ever love again? Will we ever love again? Will we really ever love again? Or will we just sit and rot away with the brighter tomorrows in the skag field, rat-cluttered halls of our minds?
Black people, what y'all gonna do? Black people, what y'all gonna do?
Will the real black people please stand up?
Let our rejoicing rise high as listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the
Jumbo Habari, and welcome once again to Our Story, the program that makes being black positive, relevant, desirable, and true to a lost nation in America, a program that speaks to the historical significance of the original people of the earth. Our Story Network takes pride in setting itself away from other programs that centers on entertainment or rhetorical mumbo-jumbo that misdirects your attention onto other things that causes you to exhaust your resources and renders you brain dead. It is Our Story who talks about commitment to you and your people. It is Our Story that champions the reestablishment of the black genius that once ruled the world. It is Our Story that focuses you in on the rewards of black advocacy, black activism, black involvement, and black power. It is Our Story that encourages survival of the black race and solicits your involvement to that end. Black folks must remember, race first is the call of the day, and we as a people must take the pledge if we, the people of the original race, expect to survive. As I take the many lessons I have received over the years and reflect upon them by sharing these lessons with my brothers and sisters, I realize the power that we as a people possess for the most part has gone unnoticed. The masses of black folk who have been rendered lost and disenfranchised from the meaning and mission our creators intended for us to embrace is all but depleted. It is because of the mission and meaning of the life of our ancestors that I realized how blessed as black people we really are. What fascinates me are the many gifts I have been granted, which allows me to distribute the information onward to you. As always, that message begins and ends with the importance of blackness. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Greetings, friends, comrades, family, the inquisitive onlookers, and our beloved viewers. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to our Story Network. We thank you for being with us this evening, and we trust you will take something of value away with you after the program. This is the aim and goals of our Story Network, the network that leads the pack in modern day communications in ancient and modern education. I say ancient and modern education because of the many errors we have found in the translations and interpretations of ancient records. The modern revelations by new black scholars have opened the window of discovery that has allowed the truth and knowledge originally disseminated by the black masters of education to flourish once again. This is why one of the stumbling blocks that has kept black people from rebuilding their greatness and recapturing their birthright. Greetings, brothers and sisters. 2 weeks away seems like a lifetime. Well, I'm back and I'm black. Well, we are apart. The big issue seems to be the child kidnapping America we are seeing done to refugees who are looking for asylum. People of New Orleans, does this look familiar? Can you think back to 2005 when Katrina hit? Can you remember the way we were treated when we were looking for safe refuge? Can you remember how Gretna and other Jefferson Parish townships stopped people of New Orleans from getting off of the bridge on the West Bank for dry land? A bridge that was clearly on Orleans Parish property. That means the Gretna and Jefferson Parish police were stationed on property owned by the New Orleans taxpayers. This means Gretna and Jefferson Parish police were trespassing on property they did not own, enforcing the denial of entry on dry ground with force and threats of death if people from New Orleans continued on the very grounds Gretna and Jefferson Parish did not own. So what is the fuss about? The refugees crossing the borders, dividing America and Mexico? Personally, I support the denial of refugees pouring into America. My reasons are for another show, simply because there is another issue bigger than treatment of refugees pouring in from Mexico. All of the supporters who are marching and showing any support for the refugees are playing into the hands of the political establishment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The argument about children being separated from their families are a red herring to the real issues that support the taking of babies. When we look at all of the action resisting the taking of children, we can safely say this is a waste of time and energy. This is the same as putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. We all know Band-Aids cannot stop or even slow down gushing wounds. You have to address the source of the problem. The same is true about the separation of children at the border. It is not the zero tolerance policy that causes children to be separated from their parents. No, It is the Patriot Act that causes and creates the authority for the separation. Now, this is the important part of why this is a red herring. The Patriot Act infringes more on American citizens than it affects immigrants coming into this country. We have heard nothing about the Patriot Act and its impeachment of freedoms of American rights and liberties. All the people demonstrating for the rights of immigrant children refuse to call to action the infringement of rights American citizens suffer every day because of the Patriot Act. If Americans were to pay more attention to the deprivation of rights granted under the Constitution of the United States, instead of being concerned with the apple pie, Chevrolet, sports, and everything classified as entertainment, the American people would be busy trying to regain the rights granted under the Constitution of the United States that they have lost. Let me say this again. If Americans were to pay more attention to the deprivation of rights granted under the Constitution of the United States, instead of being concerned with apple pie, Chevrolet, sports, and everything classified as entertainment, the American people would be busy trying to regain the rights granted under the Constitution of the United States they have lost. This is to say, the media is working with the government to disenfranchise the American people from their Constitution. So what is the alternative? Well, one alternative is informative programs like Our Story Network. We are always engaged in bringing you the information other media outlets ignore. Tonight, we are bringing back to our viewers a status update on Anthony Brown and his work to alert you and the assessor's office and the political climate in New Orleans. New Orleans are forced to tolerate. Additionally, he will give us an update on his lawsuits against the assessor's office. He also has with him one of our greatest and loyal champions in our community. Most of you know him as Noonie. It is a pleasure to have both of you with us this evening, and I'll start with Brother Anthony. What is the latest politically going on in New Orleans?
Well, my brother, that's a tall glass of water. Look, I must first say, it's always a pleasure, to be a guest on your show. It's always a pleasure being here to speak to my brothers and sisters here in the territory of New Orleans, Louisiana. Just to give you guys, basically a quick preview of what's going on as it relates to the fight on the front of the assessor's office. For those who ain't aware that as we sit here today, there is a recall petition out for that imposter that sit in the seats of the Orleans Parish Tax Assessor, one Mr. Errol G. Williams, to which I'm the chairperson for that recall committee. Now, we have a 6-month period in which we need to gather X amount of signatures, and we are doing that. We are steadily doing that. We still have in front of us 3 months, little over 3 months to go to gather all that signatures. There is out there in the grapevine, there is, we have been getting information that Mr. Williams is about to retire, or looking to retire, something to that effect. You know, we don't let that hinder us in any way, shape, or form, because the work must continue. And that we will continue to do until we accumulate the required amount of signatures, or until Mr. Williams step down from this office. On the other hand, we have, there was a lawsuit that we had filed in a civil district court, Division N, calling out the atrocities of Mr. Errol G. Williams, the municipal corporation, the city of New Orleans, and a for-profit corporation most of you might know as civicsource.com. This lawsuit was filed by myself. I was the plaintiff on this lawsuit, and all the above were named defendant. Now, to cut a story short, to get to the meat of the matter, what happened in this in this case, brothers and sisters? The person or the judge, let's give her that title for right now. Let's be civil. The judge in this case deny us or dismiss the case. And this was what the judge says in denying the case, that there is no cause of action filed, no cause of action. And she dismissed the case. And what that means in a nutshell is that she's saying that we, the plaintiff, or the plaintiff in this case, have no cause to file or to bring a lawsuit against Mr. Errol G. Williams, the municipal corporation, civicsource.com. Now, that in and of itself is false, is not accurate. We brought evidence, factual evidence in the court outlining the fact that here it is, we have an elected official, someone that we the people put in public office to serve us, who violates the contract that he signed with us, we the people. What's the contract, family? The contract is the Louisiana Constitution. This is the contract to which every single elected official in the territory of New Orleans, Louisiana, signed with us, with we the people, right? And here it is, we outline that one, Mr. Errol G. Williams violates that contract. A matter of fact, we outline the fact that there was prerequisite to be met by Mr. Errol Williams before he conduct any function in that office as the tax assessor. And the fact that the prerequisite wasn't being met, every single thing that he did in that office was null and void of law. We outline that. We bring factual evidence inside what we call a courtroom, inside the courtroom, explaining or showing this judge that, look, here we have a company, a LLC, operating here in the territory of New Orleans, Louisiana, as civicsource.com, without any constitutional authority. Now, that in and of itself should throw the case out the door. Because every judge, every member of the judiciary took an oath, put one hand on the Bible, one hand in the air, and say, I do solemnly swear that I will uphold and honor the Constitution of the United States and of Louisiana. And when we present to her evidence that this company is operating, now we're talking about a LLC doing the function, a government function, or a LLC participating in our affair, the people's affair, as it relates to Article 7 of the Louisiana Constitution that deals with taxation and revenue. They have no business. So Civic Source is, you can compare Civic Source as being, as in relation to we the people, as the east is from the west. No business at all. And here it is, the judge look at us and tell us that, look, we have no cause of action. Now, there is more steps that we are taking to get justice. There is more things that we are doing on the back end. But from that perspective, the case against RLG Williams and Civic Source is dismissed at the district level, at the district court level. Again, we don't refer to this as a loss, even though, as my brother stated earlier, we were, this past Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago, there was a function that Mr. RLG Williams attended, right, where he outlined to the audience that, look, Mr. Brown sued me in court 3 times and lost, and that Mr. Brown is a tax protester, right? And we are saying, no, we didn't lose. Not one of the time that we challenged Mr. Williams in court did we ever lose because of the merit. What happened in these cases, we have activist judges, or we have people that sit on the bench who, if they rule otherwise, wouldn't get a piece of that pie, because every single thing that RLG Williams do in his office, right, every piece of property that he put on his avalarum tax roll illegally ends up into their retirement fund. A matter of fact, there's a lawsuit out there right now. That outlines that fact. They are taking property or money, right, from we the people, property tax money, and diverting that money, stealing that money, robbing that money, putting that money in their pension plan, right? So here it is, you're going to have Mr. Williams going to retire from office after spending 33 years. He's a fat cat after he leaves public office, because he will now have money that wasn't supposed to be in that retirement fund, right? So you're going to have additional money in that retirement fund to which he's going to be drawing from on a monthly basis.
I want to get back to the situation about the judges in a minute, but I want to get over here to Nooney to find out what's the updates with him. What's going on, brother?
How you doing, Brother C? I'm happy to be on your show again. My updates is I'm going to run against Cedric Richmond, and I'm going to run for the second conditional Congress seat. And it's time for a change. It's time for the grassroots people to rise up and run for these seats. Cedric Richmond has failed us on many issues, and if we get rid of him, in your statement you said the political establishment, and if we get rid of Cedric, some of the corruption will stop. And so I'm going to run against him because I think he haven't did nothing as a councilman. He's been in 10 years. You get two years each. He's been in there 5 terms.
Yeah, it's 10 years.
Yeah, so he's been in there 10 years. So I'm running on Dr. King's Poor People campaign, 1967, 1968. The poor people would probably got Dr. King killed because when he came with that. And, I think the kids should have free education. I think there should be something like Gaddafi. Gaddafi was took out because he had free water. He had free health care, and he was about to give it to the continent of Africa, and not just Africa. He was about to give it to different countries. So they went and told him, look, we got to take Gaddafi out because he didn't do that.
The big thing with Gaddafi also is that Gaddafi was getting ready to create a new monetary system in Africa.
Right. That's
that was really going to mess up the Europeans all over the world.
That's right.
That gold bullion, my brother.
That's
that
right.
gold bullion,
Exactly.
And then we talk about, in your comments, you talked about Katrina, which is dear to my heart. We haven't still know where all the Katrina money went. There have not been no audits. The Ninth Ward looked like a third world country, and none of that has been done. Nothing has been done in Baton Rouge. Cedric, he represent East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge. None of that has been done. All the river parish, nothing have been done because the money stays at the top, but don't come to the people that's living in poverty. So I think it's time for a change, and we got to start getting grassroots people to run. But when grassroots people run, they come with these fake laws, and these fake laws, they get the judges to get you throw it out, and you can be right, but the judge gonna throw you out because they're part of that political machine.
Which goes to the heart of the argument that Anthony was talking
Yes.
about with those judges and how they work in collusion
Yes.
against the
Right.
people of the Americas
That's right.
as well as of the states. Now, I fault us.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I fault us, I'm going to include myself
Me
in
too.
us. However, I know that I put in a lot of work fighting the system
Right.
every day.
That's right.
I know the two of you do.
That's right.
So I'll include us in that, but I know, and you know as well, that we expend time, resources, and energy fighting the devil who has really cast their lot on poor people,
That's right.
and mostly black folk.
That's right.
Now, the judge situation. The judge situation is a situation that I have not heard anyone in office address from the standpoint that you cannot show me why a judge has to be an attorney.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
You're telling me that there's no one out here who can read the law, hear cases, and rule upon cases from a standpoint of justice, fairness, and an orderly fashion that brings about that. Now, understand, years ago, and I'm talking about a lot of years ago,
Yeah, my brother.
an attorney did not go to an institution to learn law.
Right.
He would sit with an attorney, learn the law, and then become an attorney once he passed the bar.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of that throughout this entire
That's right.
country.
Right.
But my thing is, and we have, 150, 200 years of experience to prove that graduates from law school have no more sense of fairness and justice than a man who can read and write and reason properly,
My brother,
fairly.
my brother,
That's
look, there's a key component to that argument. There's a key component to that argument. And that is what we face inside these courts of injustice, right? When we have a judge gonna sit and make ruling on a case, let me tell you, a lot of these cases, right, the judge should never be in a position to render ruling. That's not how the system was designed. Follow what I'm saying? But what they do, they basically use the system to their benefit. It's supposed to be a case or a situation where you have 12 people inside the jury box, common people, ordinary people, what they refer to as your peers, right? So this is what happened. You file a case inside these courts, and you think you're gonna present your case inside here. You're gonna have a jury of your peers or 12 people inside the box who will listen, look at the evidence, and make a ruling. No, what happened is the judges decided, right, or the judicial system decided, look, no, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cherry pick, we're gonna pick and choose which case we push forward, right? So prime example, a case like this, you think, or if anybody think that this case, they would allow a case like this to go to a jury, you make a sad mistake. They have to stop this case or cases like this in the tracks. So what they do, they take it, so you file your case and you got an opposition to the case, right? And they take it to somebody who is an attorney as well, right? That's what the judge is. The judge is a member of the Bar Association, right? They speak the same language. They go to the same function. They can't allow, more so when you are challenging a governmental official or a government entity. They will not allow you, that case, to move forward so that 12 ordinary people will hear the case and render a ruling. If this case was allowed to go to the jury, then and only then would you have justice. You see what I'm saying? What good is the law if there is no justice inside the law? You're going to talk about law and you're going to exclude justice? That's what this is. When you go to a judge, and look, this is the next element. When you understand that a judge, as it relates to the municipal corporation, civil district court, this judge in Division N, when you recognize that here it is, you carrying a case telling this judge that, look, these people over here, Errol G. Williams, Civic Source, is violating the law, putting people property and the ad valorem tax roll, property that's not supposed to be on it, one, right? And these people over here are charging people money that they ain't supposed to be charging these people money. And she sees this and she recognized, well, money was there, my brother. When I tell a judge, I said, look, this is money, or these people are contributing to your financial well-being. She was like, oh no, Mr. Brown. I said, yes, they are. Because it's true. And for all of those who think that statement ain't factual, again, go look on the lawsuit right now that that this attorney filed, what you call it, the development district or whatever you call it, file, and it outlines that verbatim. They are taking money that's supposed to go towards fixing the road, to school and other things. And that money, they are directing that money into the state pension fund, right? So the judge is the person who collect money out of that pension fund.
True.
Errol G. Williams, your governor, John. That's where the money
All
goes.
the politicians.
That's why it's a
I want to let the people know that the phone lines are open if they want to get in on the conversation. The number is on the screen for you there. I wanted to add to what you were saying, my brother. You had mentioned about the 67, 68 civil rights for poor people that Martin Luther King was pressing. We went through an entire period of time when we were fighting for so-called civil rights.
Right.
We have never talked about the civil rights that are being denied poor people in this country, specifically black people in this country, based upon color, economic position, class, and education.
That's right.
That goes back to the argument about judges having to be attorneys. Now, let me share this with you. You go to court. Let's say it's a criminal case. You have to face, first of all, you have to get a defense attorney.
Right.
Whether you can afford one or one is appointed, you have a mouthpiece, an attorney. The prosecutor is an attorney.
Right.
The judge is an attorney.
Right.
And what are these three people called? They are called officers of the court.
Right.
You have one other entity that is an officer of the court, and who is that? That's the police officer.
That's right.
Right.
So, where is the justice? Where is the ability for you to receive a fair trial when you have the family,
Amen.
they're all related.
Right.
You have harmed one of them or
right.
more, and they're upset.
That's right.
Where can you receive a fair trial? Now, we can take that same scenario and move it to civil court.
Right.
That's
The
right.
same identical situation is there.
Right. And that's why I said that is why it's so important for the people to start to call or demand that we have jury trials. They have a way of categorizing which cases, right, they will move forward to jury trial. That ain't supposed to be a matter of fact. The Constitution don't state this document, right? The U.S. Constitution don't state that there's only certain cases that you are allowed to have jury trial. It doesn't state that. They are the one who instigate that requirement. The premise is, look, you know what? Who are judges? A judge is a referee. That's all a judge is. A gatekeeper, the referee. The judge you're supposed to come inside there. Okay, if you want to go with attorney, with your attorneys, and this party of his attorney, and the judge supposed to be the one to say, okay, look, your time is up, you go, you see, and the jury is the one who rendered the decision. No, in these cases, what they are doing now is allowing these judges to be, what you call it, judge executioner and whatever you call it. This one judge have the authority, and her ruling is final, which that's not this. That shouldn't be the case. You see what I'm saying? It's a farce. It's a deception, and it's not fair. No, look. Let me tell you something real quick. I put in again with Errol G. Williams, and I think I talked about this some time ago on this show. How important it is. If you jump in your automobile, my brother, and you drive down the road, and one of these clowns, somebody from the NOPD stop you, you don't have a driver's license. Mm-hmm. They're gonna want, man, they treat you like you're an hardened criminal, right? Because they say, oh look, you don't have a driver's license, or you're gonna drive an automobile. Here we have an elected official with the Article 10, Section 30, put or outlines a prerequisite that they must have an oath of office and bond, right? Here we have confirmation. Look, this is a public request I put in for Mr. Errol G. Williams' bond. Here is the response outlining to us that Errol G. Williams don't have a bond and file. Now, there is something really devious going on there in the Orleans Parish Tax Assessor since we have been voicing on this issue. We are now fully aware that there is doctoring of documents, right? I see Errol G. Williams out there. The public can go search themselves, putting out, because the fact that we talk about he don't have any bond, putting out some fraudulent document out there to show the public that he does have a bond. I call the surety company myself. They say, look, look, Mr. Brown, look. This right is a document, my brother, you guys can verify it. This come from the clerk of court office, and it is saying right here, in regards to your request for the time frame to be the full duration of the time that Mr. Errol G. Williams have been in office, the search was performed from January 1st, 2011 to January 27, 2018, right? No bond. So, no, that's when they did the search. And that was the date he was elected as a single assessor for Orleans Parish, right? Mm-hmm. Before that, he was amongst one of the 7. Right. So even if you take it from this time frame that they did the search and couldn't find the bond, that means every single person in the territory of New Orleans that loses a piece of property because of this Errol G. Williams can go back and file a suit or reclaim what is rightfully theirs. The Constitution outlines the prerequisite for you, right, before you can take any action in the office of the Orleans Parish Assessor. He's an imposter.
Now, the 6th Amendment of the United States Constitution in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, supposedly, and I have to say supposedly,
That's right.
grants rights to have due process of law. It gives you a right to have protection
Right.
of the law.
Right. No, look.
The people are not understanding that they have none of this anymore.
Right.
That's right.
That's right. And that's the reason why we call upon, and it's so important, that's the reason why we call upon your friend, Bernadette Johnson,
That's
the
right.
Chief Justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court.
Who
Hold
they
it
did
right there.
injustice
We've got a caller. We're going to go to the caller. We want to thank you for watching, and we especially thank you for participating. We ask you to turn the volume of your TV all the way down. Talk to us directly through and in the telephone. Welcome to our story. What's your question or comment?
Hello.
Hello.
What kind of money are we talking about that this assessor gets into his retirement? I don't understand the dollar fee. There is a certain limit on the amount of retirement. You take all the property taxes of the city of New Orleans. He is not getting all that money. What is the dollar fee we're talking about? And why are we wasting such energy on such a ridiculous issue when there's so many other important things in this city for this kind of energy to be put on?
Let me ask you something, ma'am. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. You ask about the energy being expended. How aware are you that the constitutional rights that they claim you have, you don't actually have? Are you aware of that? Silence? Oh, she hung up on me. Oh, see, that's the problem. Because people
Right.
want to defend a system that has totally hoodwinked them,
That's right.
totally prostituting them, and then smacks them on their behind and tell them to go out to pasture and feel good.
Look, to this caller right here, my brother, if I may answer this caller, to this caller right here, I don't know where in the city she's calling from or who she's affiliated, but let me ask you this. I would ask this caller, have she ever taken a stroll through the lower Ninth Ward or the upper Ninth, the 7th, or New Orleans East? Have you ever have anybody losing their property? Ever have anybody losing their property to investors, right? Mr. Errol G, it doesn't matter what the dollar amount is that he's getting after his retirement from office. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. What is a fact is that the more or the bigger the purse is the more he will get on a month-to-month basis. You see what I'm saying? The truth of the matter is, so what you are saying is to us is that, look, the fact that we have people who are losing their property illegally,
That's right.
who are losing their property illegally, so and every time you drive around the city of New Orleans, you can look at any bridge you drive on that you can see families out there. You say we are spending too much time talking about this. You are saying we are spending too much time speaking about people who come to us and ask us to put them into public office. And now that they are in public office, they are committing malfeasance, they are committing crimes, and we are spending too much time talking about this.
And what about the monies that are being collected
That's right.
from services and fees,
Right.
That's right.
like the Sewage and Water
Water
Board,
Board.
that's supposed to go to take care of the water system? They received who knows how many millions of dollars
Right.
from the federal government because of Katrina.
Right.
That money we know was not spent where it was
Not
supposed
spent.
to go.
That's right.
How can you justify or how can you defend any political subdivision that is taking your money
Right.
and putting it in their pockets,
That's right.
the politicians' pockets,
And making people-
and then telling you, you don't know what you're talking
And
about.
making people homelessness.
Yes.
One subdivision alone, there's a lawsuit right now. One
know.
subdivision alone, right, is suing for between $3 to $4 million of property tax money that the city of New Orleans, the municipal corporation, take and put in the pension fund. That's a crime. If the average person did that, Nooney, the ass would be in jail. So she gonna call and say we're spending too much time?
But that's how they're stealing the money. They're taking all these pension funds and they're stealing the money, right? So when they're putting all the money in the pension funds and they're retiring, that's how they're leaving. But look, they got firefighters that we found out didn't get their money. Black firefighters didn't get their money, but the whites putting it in a pension fund. They're stealing it. They just bust Miss Landrew doing it. But that's why I want to be the congressman, because as the congressman, you can bring the feds here and shut that down.
Yes.
You can shut it down.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Cedric not going to shut it down because he's a part of the problem. And all them, when we went to his thing for the professionals, we sat out there, WC, every judge in the city was at Cedric thing, right? So when Cedric got a problem, these judges, you can't trust them because they there. Just with lawyers. Do you know there's a law that they said no law against it that a lawyer can give a judge money?
Look, tell this caller right here. Tell this caller right here just to turn to channel 8 tonight at 10 o'clock and watch Lee's work episode with the follow-up about these judges. What we are saying, family, is that we have politicians, we have elected officials, people who are supposed to be of high moral stature, people who are supposed to be following the law, the Constitution, who we are saying they are not doing it, they are breaking the law. And if it means that we're going to be out there exerting, using your word, scholar, exerting energy to that effect, we will do it, because we won't sit by the wayside and see our employees, elected officials, nothing special about them. They came to us, they put their name on the ballot, and we put them in the public office. We give them a salary. It is our job, it is our duty. We are just exercising our rightful duty as the electorate, as the employee, as the boss, to check these elected officials that's in office. And if you don't want to do that, you can tell it to your son, your daughter, your grandkids, and your grandkids' kids that, look, I sit down and I allow criminals to sit in public office and rob you from your birthright. And that's all it is.
I'll give you one better than that, WC. The 1965 Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
Why hasn't Cedric or no politician made it stronger? They started tearing it down and weakening it. Blacks ain't gonna have no rights, but we elect them, and none of them won't talk about the 1965 Civil Rights Act, that people, it was blood, sweat, and tears lost on that. And right now, none of them addressing it. Yeah. Cedric won't debate me because he's not gonna stand up like that, because if you say Steve Scalise, who was the bag man for the KKK, is your best friend, brother, you need to look at yourself.
Yes, no, but look, this is why I said to them, Nooney, on a day-to-day basis. We talk about white supremacy, and we talk about oppression, we talk about colonization, right? What do you call it when look, we live in a territory like New Orleans, Louisiana, where 90% or 80% of the population is African descent. And it reflects, that same percentage is reflected in the elected official, like every branch of government, right? What do you call it when the end product of what we used to call white supremacy under the white slave master is what we are having today under a dominantly black control government? Do we still call this white supremacy?
No, you call it black supremacy.
Well, I don't know. You know,
that's
black
what
supremacy.
I call it, black supremacy.
Well, we have to call it something.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you adopt the behavior of our oppressors,
preach, my brother,
and you black, you ain't no better than them, and you worse than them, and it's black supremacists, it's black confederacy,
yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
Right.
And these blacks Let me tell you, I met a child, 13 years old. By law, I couldn't take him in because they'd have came to my house and arrest me. This child is living on the street. We got youngsters living on the street, neath of the bridge, and they don't address what you said, economics. They don't address homeless. They're not addressing none of this. They haven't, listen, Cedric, this will get me about all the politicians. Elton Sterling was killed. Victor White was killed. Is an attack on black people, and the best thing our politicians said, let's protect blue lives. Well, what about the people that lost their lives? And see what we're talking about? I'm learning how to write a bill, because guess what? If I don't get elected, I'm going to write a bill for these judges that they can't do that. You already started the bill.
Yeah.
You sent it to all the lawmakers. None of them called it back to this date.
Look, this is what happened. Here we have the person who's called himself the tax assessor, right? When residents of New Orleans East call him out or call his office to challenge this fraudulent ad valorem tax bill that he's sending out annually, he is bragging, telling people about his multi-car garage that he's building and his mansion. The arrogance of these people. He's talking about, well, my multi-car. Nobody will call you about you. Look, we know you are building a mansion out there in New Orleans, while at the same time you are creating the largest or the vastest homeless population. When it if you look at the civicsource.com website, when you come on to Civic Source illegally auctioning and selling people property, right, you will recognize that a lot of those property come from the lower 9th ward, come from New Orleans East, come from the 7th ward. That's where the property is coming from, and they are doing that with a willful intent because they want to drain the wealth from the black people or from the black community.
And then Errol Williams, brothers and family, is the ones that's buying the houses under these different names. So they are taking people houses. Errol Williams got 25, 35 siblings. And what they do, they make false names, fake names, and they're buying all these houses, and guess who owns them? Errol Williams and his family.
Let me tell you, it was, you could have seen the fight back come 2017.
That's right.
There is no way that they could have allowed Anthony Brown to be out here to inform the people about what's going on.
And I know they try to shut you down every chance they get.
Every chance.
We have the fastest hour in television.
Oh, man.
You realize it's gone by already.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, have you, has qualifications come up yet?
It comes up July.
That's good. That's good.
18 to 20.
You haven't qualified, so
No.
I don't have any need to
No, once
offer
it come
anybody
up, I'm
any
coming.
time.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, the other thing is I want to thank both of you for taking the time to share with our audience the knowledge and the enthusiasm that you have and that you show throughout our community every day. I'll invite you guys back again so that we can give them more of the knowledge and more of the work that's being done in our communities. I want to thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
I want to remind our viewers that the kind of conversations you heard this evening, I have quite a bit of it in the book that I have authored called Our Story, The Original Holocaust. And what it does is it goes back into history and it brings us all the way up to current day. The book is available at the Community Book Center, 2523 Bayou Road, available at Wayne's World and Sons, 2255 St. Claude Street, and on the West Bank at Educators Delight, 3501 Holiday Drive, Suite 405. So, I would encourage you to get a copy if you haven't already gotten one and enjoy the truth from an unapologetic black man. And with that, I want to thank you for being with us. We'll be back next week. We'll have interesting conversations for you then. Check us out on Mondays on the Chuck Wagon Show on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. at 10 a.m. to noon. Until we meet you again, my brothers and sisters, stay strong, stay black. But by all means, stay committed to blackness in the struggle. Uhuru Sasa Umgawa.
There was Dr. James welding cords around a copper frame. We sing songs not for the accolades, to lift voices like a helicopter blade. High in the listening skies, my eyes glisten and tears drop down like rain. Not from the pain, from the joy of how far we came. My brainstorms are designed to celebrate our reign. The collective, monuments erected, continents affected, presidents elected, ancestors making moves with the music we've been blessed with. We use it to keep communities connected. Through harmonies, a harmony is collected. Reaping the fruits our foremothers invested. Lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, yeah, lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, listen, lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on.
Sing a song,
Yeah,
full of the faith that the dark past has taught us.
come on.
Sing a song, full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun
Facing the rising sun, come on.
of our new day begun.
It's a new day.
Let us march on
Yeah.
till victory is
Yeah,
won.
until victory is won, come
Till victory is
This is
won.
victory music. Come on, I hope you feel it.
Ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.